Here's something most people will never tell you about walking away from toxic relationships. The moment you disappear from their life, something absolutely wild happens inside their mind. It's not what you think. They don't just miss you or feel sad. No, what actually goes down is so much more intense, so much more revealing about human psychology, that it'll completely change how you see every toxic person who's ever tried to control you. You see, when you finally gather the courage to step away from someone toxic, you're not just leaving a relationship, you're pulling the plug on an entire emotional ecosystem they've built around your presence. And that's when the real shit hits the fan. Most people think walking away is about you, your healing, your growth, your peace. But here's the shocking truth that toxic people will never admit. Your absence becomes their worst nightmare because it forces them to face something they've been running from their entire life, themselves. Let me break down exactly what happens in their mind the second you're gone, because understanding this will give you power you never knew you had. The first thing that hits them isn't sadness or anger, it's panic. Pure, raw panic. Because distance isn't just physical space between two people. Distance is a weapon that exposes every crack in their carefully constructed reality. Think about it. Toxic people thrive on chaos, drama, and emotional manipulation. Your presence was their fuel, their drug, their validation. When you remove yourself from the equation, their entire world starts crumbling. Here's what's really messed up. They don't actually see you as a real person. Never did. To them, you were a mirror, reflecting back exactly what they needed to feel powerful, important, or validated. You were their emotional punching bag, their therapist, their audience for their never-ending drama show. But you were never just you. This is why your absence hits them like a freight train. When you leave, they don't lose a person. They lose their reflection. They lose the version of themselves they could only see through manipulating you. And suddenly, they're staring into an empty void where their fake sense of self used to be. But here's where it gets really twisted. The moment you're gone, their brain goes into overdrive trying to figure out what the hell just happened. They start projecting their own fears, insecurities, and toxic traits onto your decision to leave. They can't comprehend that someone would walk away simply for their own peace and sanity. No, in their mind, you must have ulterior motives. You must be trying to hurt them, manipulate them, or get revenge. This is the moment when toxic people reveal their true colors. Because instead of looking inward and asking, why did this person feel the need to leave me? They immediately start crafting narratives that make them the victim. They'll tell anyone who listened that you abandoned them, betrayed them, or that you're ungrateful for everything they did for you. What they won't tell people is how your absence is eating them alive from the inside. They won't admit that without you there to absorb their negativity, they're drowning in their own toxic energy. They won't confess that your departure has forced them to confront the emptiness they've been trying to fill through controlling others. The really insane part? Your absence doesn't just affect how they see themselves, it completely disrupts how they function in the world. Think about it. Toxic people are like emotional vampires. They feed off drama, conflict, and the reactions they can provoke in others. When you remove yourself as their primary source of supply, they're suddenly starving. This is when you'll start seeing them reach out to mutual friends, posting cryptic social media messages, or even trying to hoover you back into their life with fake apologies or manufactured crises. They're not doing this because they miss you or love you. They're doing it because they're desperate to restore their emotional supply chain. But here's the plot twist that most people never see coming. While they're spiraling and scrambling to fill the void you left behind, something powerful is happening to you. You're discovering who you actually are when you're not being constantly manipulated, gaslit, or drained by their toxicity. Your absence from their life becomes the greatest gift you never intended to give them, the opportunity to face their demons. Most won't take it. Most will find new victims, new sources of supply, new people to project their issues onto. But for the rare few who actually look in the mirror your absence created, real change becomes possible. And that's just the beginning of what really happens when you walk away from toxic people. But that's when things get really dark. Because what happens next in their mind is something most people aren't prepared for. The panic I mentioned, that's just the appetizer. The main course is a full-blown emotional meltdown that they'll never let you see. But it's happening behind closed doors and it's absolutely brutal. Here's what no one talks about. When you leave a toxic person, you don't just trigger sadness or anger. You unleash every single emotion they've been suppressing, avoiding, or projecting onto others for years. We're talking about rage, terror, shame, guilt, and this overwhelming sense of existential dread that makes them question everything about themselves. And here's the twisted part. Most of these emotions aren't even about you. They're about them finally being forced to sit alone with their own thoughts, their own behavior, their own demons. Your absence becomes like a spotlight shining directly on all the they've been hiding from themselves. Think about it this way. Toxic people are masters of deflection. They've spent their entire lives pointing fingers, blaming others, creating drama to distract from their own issues. But when you're gone, who do they blame? Who do they point the finger at? Suddenly, that finger starts pointing back at them, and they absolutely cannot handle it. This is when you'll see them spiral in ways that might actually shock you. They'll start lashing out at random people, picking fights with family members, or creating unnecessary drama at work. They're like a pressure cooker that's been building steam for years, and your departure just removed the safety valve. But here's where it gets really messed up. They'll never admit that your leaving has affected them this deeply. Instead, they'll start rewriting history to make themselves feel better. This is called narrative reconstruction, and toxic people are absolute experts at it. They'll tell themselves, and anyone who'll listen, that you were the problem all along. You were ungrateful, you were selfish, you never appreciated what they did for you. They'll paint themselves as the long-suffering victim who finally got rid of dead weight. They'll act like your leaving was actually a blessing in disguise. But here's what they won't tell you. Late at night, when no one's watching, they're obsessing over every interaction you ever had. They're replaying conversations, analyzing your last words, searching for clues about when you decided to leave them. They're stalking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, and driving themselves crazy trying to figure out how they lost control of the situation. Because that's really what this is about. Control. Toxic people need to feel like they're in control of their relationships, their environment, their narrative. Your decision to walk away represents the ultimate loss of control, and it's eating them alive. Here's something that'll blow your mind. They're not just missing your presence, they're missing the version of themselves that only existed when you were around. See, toxic people don't have a solid sense of identity. They're like chameleons, constantly changing their personality based on who they're trying to manipulate or impress. When you were in their life, they had a role to play. They were the victim, the hero, the misunderstood genius. Whatever narrative served their purposes. But now that you're gone, they don't know who they're supposed to be anymore. They've lost their audience, their co-star, and their twisted drama. This identity crisis hits them like a truck. They start questioning everything, their relationships, their choices, their entire sense of self. But instead of using this as an opportunity for growth and self-reflection, most toxic people do something else entirely. They go hunting for a replacement. And this is where things get really predatory. They'll start love bombing new people, trying to recreate the same toxic dynamic they had with you. They'll use all the same manipulation tactics, the same guilt trips, the same emotional blackmail. They're basically trying to cast someone new in the role you vacated. But here's the thing they don't realize. It never works the same way twice, because you took something with you when you left. Their confidence, deep down, they know that if you could see through their BS and walk away, others can too, and that terrifies them. The really damn scary part is how they'll try to use your absence against you. They'll spread rumors, try to turn mutual friends against you, or even attempt to sabotage your new relationships. They can't stand the idea that you're out there living your best life while they're struggling to hold their fake persona together. But what they don't understand is that every desperate attempt to hurt you or bring you back is just proof of how powerful your decision to leave really was. And that's when the most shocking revelation hits them. A truth so devastating that it changes everything about how they see themselves and their relationships forever. You see, after months of spiraling, obsessing, and desperately trying to fill the void you left behind, something clicks in their brain. They finally realize that all their manipulation tactics, all their guilt trips, all their emotional blackmail, none of it worked on you in the end. You saw right through their facade and chose yourself over their toxicity. This realization hits different people in completely different ways, and understanding these reactions will tell you everything you need to know about human nature. The first type of toxic person will double down on their behavior. They'll become even more manipulative, more controlling, more desperate in their future relationships. They'll tell themselves that you are just weak, that the next person will be different, that they just need to find someone more loyal. These are the ones who never learn, never grow, never change. They'll spend their entire lives cycling through relationships, leaving a trail of broken people in their wake. But here's what's really messed up about this type. They'll use your departure as fuel for their victim narrative for years to come. You'll become the villain in every story they tell, the ungrateful person who abandoned them when they needed you most. They'll use your memory to guilt trip their next victims, saying things like, "I hope you're not going to leave me like your name did." The second type of toxic person has a completely different reaction, and it's honestly terrifying to witness. They go into full-blown stalker mode. They become obsessed with proving that you made a mistake by leaving them. They'll create fake social media accounts to spy on you, show up places they know you'll be, or even try to insert themselves into your new relationships. These are the ones who can't accept that you're actually happier without them. Your success, your peace, your growth. It's like a personal attack on their entire worldview. They genuinely believed that you needed them to survive, and seeing you thrive is destroying their sense of reality. But here's the third type, and this one will surprise you. Some toxic people actually wake up. Your departure becomes their rock bottom, the moment they're forced to look in the mirror and confront the monster they've become. These are the rare ones who use your absence as a catalyst for real change. They'll start therapy, join support groups, begin the painful process of examining their behavior and its impact on others. They'll realize that the toxicity wasn't strength, it was weakness. Their manipulation wasn't cleverness, it was cowardice. Their need to control others wasn't power, it was profound insecurity. And here's something that might mess with your head. Some of them will want to reach out and apologize to you. Not to get you back, not to manipulate you into giving them another chance, but because they genuinely understand the damage they caused and want to make amends. But here's what you need to understand. Whether they grow or spiral, whether they change or double down, whether they apologize or attack you, none of it is your responsibility. You didn't leave to teach them a lesson or force them to grow. You left to save yourself, and that's the only reason that matters. Because while they're going through their emotional hurricane, something beautiful is happening to you. You're discovering who you actually are when you're not being constantly manipulated, criticized, or drained. You're learning what your boundaries actually are, what you will and won't tolerate in relationships. You start attracting different types of people, healthier people who respect your boundaries, celebrate your successes, and support your growth instead of trying to sabotage it. You realize that healthy relationships don't require you to lose yourself to keep someone else happy. The most powerful thing about walking away from toxic people isn't what it does to them, it's what it does for you. It teaches you that you have the power to choose who gets access to your energy, your time, your love. It shows you that you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And here's the final twist that toxic people never see coming. The more they try to punish you for leaving, the more they prove that leaving was the right decision. Every nasty text, every attempt at sabotage, every lie they tell about you just confirms that you dodged a massive bullet. So the next time you're questioning whether you should walk away from someone toxic, remember this: their reaction to your absence will tell you everything you need to know about who they really are. And more importantly, your ability to walk away will tell you everything you need to know about who you're becoming. The question isn't whether they'll survive without you. The question is, will you finally start thriving without them?